All right. It's been a while since I've done a video other than my watch strapping series, but here it goes. This is technically an unboxing, but I've unboxed it. Nothing much to see. It's just it's kind of a nice cardboard box, bluish. I believe it has some patterning on it. Inside is gray, kind of felt lined. Yeah. Actually, other than that, it's wrapped in a pillow. Other than that, it's not much to it. So let's just get to the nitty gritty. So this is one of my newest acquisitions, and I guess we'll just name this. Is this the Baltic Aquascaph Bronze in bronze? And yeah, there's two versions essentially. There's this one, which is the Blue Gilt Dial, and there is a black version that came out afterwards. And yeah, this is not a new watch. This has been out as of this recording about a year at least, I think, since it was initially launched or released back in early 2021. I have to check back, but I believe that's when it was, sometime last year. And it's, I was attracted to it, but I just kind of held off from getting one back then. And yeah, I had actually had my bronze phase a little while back. Early, actually, when I started getting back into watches, what is it now? At least 5 years ago, I think. Um, yeah. So, but when I started off with, well, there's bronze was popular. Wanted to get one, but they're kind of they weren't nearly as abundant as they are now. But so couldn't get one. Closest thing was to get something that was, I guess, maybe gold or maybe rose gold, because to me, in my eyes, I kind of gave it that sort of patinaed or darkened gold look. Wasn't exact, and depends on the type of bronze we're talking about. But the ones that I generally seen and liked were the ones that have more copper content in it, so it looked a little bit more brown, or I don't know, red or orangey, more like copper color. Then I guess maybe you might consider this sort of like more gold or brass. But there's all kinds, and this one I forget the exact uh, chemical, not chemical, the exact elemental name, I guess, or the substance, like the CuSN8, which is the very popular kind of bronze material. But this is something else. This uses more aluminum versus copper, I believe, and so it's supposed to patina a little bit less prone to patining. At least it takes it longer. That's what they say. And if it does, it should be more even and I guess a little bit less, I don't know, blotchy. But yeah, so I had my bronze phase, and started off with a Steinhardt Ocean One. That's the when they only had the 42 millimeter version, and the style was basically like a Tudor Black Bay bronze. And so I had like the 9, 3, and 6 with a triangle, and like a brownish uh, inserts. And the dial was kind of brownish too. And I had that really briefly. I bought it, wanted to kind of, because that Black Bay bronze was pretty hot back when it came out. And so, well, that's the closest thing I can get to it. But it wasn't quite what I was looking for. The lume was too green on, I think, in the indexes and the hands. So, that C3 kind of greenish tint that they can have, and like when it's not glowing, made it look like too new, and it kind of clashed with the brownish vintage tones that it was trying to had overall. So I wasn't really feeling it after I bought it. Then the next bronze watch I had for a while was the Zelos Helmsman II. I believe I put a video up on that, review of that, some time ago. It's been a while since I owned that watch, and I had a blue dial too. I think blue dials and bronze look really good for me. Greens are nice too, and I actually wouldn't mind a red one, but I think number one for me has always been, I don't know, something about the blue, and and bronze color, especially after patinas, even when it's new, when it's got just that color. Let me try to wipe off this greasy fingerprints. Just, just that blue and golden warm colors just kind of work. And so yeah, it's got this kind of blue radiant dial. So yeah, I had that Zelos for a while, and that was pretty good. And then I got phased out of it. I did the bronze, and there's been many bronze watches back then and up till now, and I just kind of, it's cool. I like some stuff, but I wasn't not in the mood to get back into it. But recently, after watching the video from Teddy Balsar, where he talked about bronze watches, it got me thinking about it again. And he kind of mentioned this one, and I was like, yeah, I remember this. I was like really close to pulling the trigger on one back then. But out of all the ones that are out right now, I do think I like this one the most in terms of price and the design. The first watch that got me into bronze was the Panerai submersible. That I think that pretty much kicked off the craze way back. And of course, that's much more expensive. And when I say got me into it, doesn't mean like I bought it. I was just attracted to it. But it's yeah, the price point and the watch is very large. Although not all that long ago, they actually had a smaller version. I want to say they shrank it down from that large. I don't know. I think that was like, is it 47 or 45 or something like that, down to at least a 42 or 41 now. But still expensive for me. And the next one after that I like actually was the one from Oris. They have the Carl Brashear version, the limited edition. Quite nice. And then they came out with, I think, a chronograph version of that, if I'm not mistaken. And then more recently, they made another Carl Brashear kind of limited edition bronze watch. They're always a blue dial as well. And that new one has like a small seconds on the bottom. And those are nice, but for me, my budget is those cost at least $3,000, probably a little bit more than that. That's a bit more than I felt like spending for that. And two things. They kind of, 100 meters is enough, but it always seems like they should be pushing it more. I think they totally could, but for some reason they want to hold it at 100 meters water resistance. Secondly, the lume on those are, I think, I don't know. I think they're not the best, especially since they're patinaed as well. So it's like, well, it's like, I don't know. Just spending $3,000 plus or something seems like a bit much, but that is a handsome watch. That Aura 65 Carl Brashear, bronze diver, quite nice. But anyway, so the next closest thing, oh, you know what? I did have a Christopher Ward one, the Trident C60. That was their first one in 43 millimeters. I wonder if I have a video on that. 43 is just a little large for me, but I figured what the heck, try to pull it off. And I wore it for a while. It was shaped well enough and I could pull it off, but in the end I didn't sell. I sold it. I think the blue tone that they were using on that dial wasn't exactly what I was looking for. I'm very particular about the blues on the dial. And so then, yeah, I just kind of took a break from it for a few years, and then now I'm back into it. It was a pretty long explanation of how I got back to where I'm at right now. Oh, sorry. Just trying to give some backstory and to why I picked this up. And so I've just been feeling like I should get one back in. I like that rustic look once you get that patinaed in look, and it's just something different, and I'll tell a story of how you've worn it, whoever has it, and how they treat it. It'll show up on the metal, and I think that's kind of cool, and it's something you won't have to worry about also necessarily keeping perfectly clean and scratch free. I think with this, especially with patina built up on it and get darkening and all that, I think if you do somehow add some scratches and stuff, it'll just even make it more charismatic in that sense. And you may not want that for majority of your watches most of the time. I mean, I like to keep my watches clean, but there's sometimes it's kind of fun to let loose and give it a go for kind of a just a different direction in the aesthetics and the look and feel of a watch, and which has a lot to do with either keeping it brand spanking clean or maybe more worn. I think in general you should have more worn in look for the watches that you really like, because you should be wearing them and you will get scratches, and if they do, well, so be it, as long as they're not too bad. So anyways, I'm not gonna, this is not a review. This is just me kind of introducing this. So I will probably be wearing this for a while. Moving forward, well, I have actually, it's going to be tricky because I have one other watch that came in at the same time as this. So I try not to try to get new watches at the same time. Then it's going to, kind of compete for wrist time once you get it. Both of them, you say, oh, do I wear this today or wear that one? And I don't like wearing two watches. Sometimes I do that, but no. You want to just dedicate one time to this. I mean, one watch at a time to enjoy, and give it its own, its own time. And hopefully I haven't been moving this watch around too much. So I'm just going to give you a kind of look at it. I've seen a lot more people showing off the ones with the black dial, which is nice. It's classic, but I always like a nice blue dial. And let's see if you can get closer here. And I like the way they do the numbers. I don't know, something about the way this 3 is done looks really nice to me. And what I was going to say, oh, and with the bronze watch, I feel it should be a diver. And it's just something about old world, like early 1900s or something period, when they had really primitive dive equipment that would use a lot of bronze, and actually a lot of their dive equipment actually used leather too. So people would say, oh, what's a leather strap doing on a dive watch? Well, they actually did use leather, like straps and things, equipment for diving way back in the day. It's not so practical now, but I think there's some sort of really old school charm to having leather kind of put into the mix with a dive instrument. And yeah, I just like to have a nice bronze bezel. I actually tend to prefer it not to have an insert of a matching color or even contrasting color to the dial. I like to see that full bezel get patinaed, and I think these are painted in, so actually the numbers and the indexes should not darken, so you can still make them out. So this can have some legibility, although there is no lume pip. But I have other watches that I would take if I were to seriously dive. So having that lume pip not there is not a big deal. And how often am I going to be timing stuff in the dark? Honestly, never. Of all the years I've had, I don't think I've ever timed anything in such low light condition where with a timing bezel where I needed this pip to be loomed and to be able to time it. So yeah, but it is kind of nice if you could have had that. And that's where I saw a version of this that something I saw. I was doing a search of pictures online, and someone had shown like a magnified view of this part, and like you can see that there was like a little dot in there that was loomed. So I don't know if that was actually the same watch or that they do a custom loom job, like drew a tiny hole and just filled it with some loom, which might be a potential idea depending on how I feel about this in later down the line. If I must have that pip loomed in the bezel, then maybe I will do a custom job. I don't know. So dimensions, I'm pretty sure, I don't know off the top of my head. Sorry, this isn't a review, but it's supposed to be a 39 millimeter case. It could actually be a tad smaller because you can see the bezel overhang, so it might actually work closer to a 38. You might have to check. If you're really curious right now, go look online or check some other videos. They might have mentioned what their measurements are for this, but they say it's 39, so we'll take it then. It does pretty much work like that. lug to lug, I believe, is pretty short. I don't think it's much more than 47, if even that. And the thickness, pretty sure it's like, it's actually surprisingly thin. I think it's less than 12 millimeters. And it's using 20 millimeter lugs. This is on like a really dark, almost like midnight blue tropic strap, and it's it's by Baltic. It's not the best. The other watch I just got in came with it's on a bracelet, but it also came with a tropic strap, and it's much more pliable. It's from Helmsman, and I'll show that off in the next video. I was going to do a double kind of a review or unboxing in here, but I'll save it for its own video. I might do it right after this one, but it'll come up pretty soon, and you can check that one out. It's kind of technically a rebuy, but it is actually the version of the watch that I wanted originally, but they didn't have it available, so I went with the other version, and yada yada. I sold that, and then many months, because it has been years later, I ended up, well, it's probably more, not even a year yet. I sold it, and here I am. You know what? It has been over a year. Jeez, I'm almost certain of that. I think I got that one in late 2020 or so, and then I had it for a couple months. That old Helmsman. Oh, it's a Sharkmaster. Anyways, that's you will see that soon. So, anyways, we'll see how this patina's over time. So this is pretty much brand spanking new. I just got it a few hours ago, right around 6 or 7-ish. And the only thing I've done is just clean it off. So I really haven't, there shouldn't be any signs of patina as of yet, but I'm going to wear it to work. Going to be hot tomorrow. And so I think some bit of sweat and the heat and whatever, perspiration coming off of me may start to affect this tomorrow. And I always wash my watch after work too, so that might come into play to trying to help add some patina to this. And we'll see. Probably do this next couple of days. I have some strap options. I'm not going to go as crazy on the strap options as I normally do on my other watches. Like if you've seen, I have a lot of different kind of variation, strap options I've shown. But because this is a bronze watch and I'm a stickler for matching hardware, there's only so many straps that have bronze hardware, and not all of them do. So that's why, in addition to using the stock tropic strap I bought when I got this, I knew I wanted to put this on leather too, because a bronze dive watch on the leather looks really good. And probably something brown. Yeah, it's very typical, but I think that's kind of the best color. I wanted to get something, hopefully that's got a bit of vintage kind of worn look to it to help it out. But if it's not really all there, as long as it's a nice brown, I can always break it in and make it distress myself. So then I bought a second bronze buckle here. It's the same one that's on here at the end. You can see exact same. So that way I was going to go the cheap route and say, okay, well, whatever other two-piece strap option I get, if I want to put it on here, I guess I could just pop this one off and stick it on the new one, but I kind of don't want to do that. So at most I'm going to just get this off. And good thing these have drilled lug holes, so that should help popping them off pretty well. Yeah, I just don't want to fiddle with, finding this, getting that spring bar done, and then doing this, and I don't need another production. So I'm going to keep the strap options relatively simple. So it's going to definitely be able to use this. This is a good one for all around. I want to do a leather, so that's what this is going to be on, and that should be coming in, I think, tomorrow. So I'll see if I can get that fitted. This piece here is just called the tang. This part might be just a little bit thicker than the one that the strap comes with, which is a standard stainless steel one. So I'm going to take that off and put this on. I might have to make that hole that's in between her, just cut it a little wider in that leather strap so it fits in, but we'll see how tight it is, if it even needs to be cut. And then we'll put that together, and then I'll have a nice leather strap option. And I have one more that I ordered from custom made from Erica's Original, because you can do a lot of the coloring of the straps as well as choose the hardware. They have stainless, polished, stainless, other finishes like DLC, bronze, actual solid bronze. So, and of course, that's what I got to match. And it's not just the buckle, but then also the keepers that are on the elastic strap are of the same material. So yeah, I like it to match. I don't want to, I mean, that does limit my options, so that because unless I plan to in the end, if I do plan to get more straps, I guess I would either have to buy more of these, which I kind of don't want to do. I don't know, I just feel funny just having to order one or more of these from over in France where Baltic is, just to customize some straps just for the buckle or piece. Or I can just pop it off and put in a new one, but I will see. Additionally, this has a nice, pretty drastic taper. You may not notice, but this is 20 down to 16. So you got to make sure what other aftermarket options you get, they are also 16 at the end here where the buckle is. Otherwise, a lot of the 20s I've seen either, mostly tend to go down to 18, which is not bad, but 16 is actually a little bit nicer. Just that little bit extra more taper makes it a little bit more comfortable when you're flexing your wrist. And so, yeah, that's the thing you keep in mind. So that was part of my homework and hunt for some aftermarket strap options, so I can use this buckle, that 16 millimeters in there with. And I did find one, and you'll see that before long. What else is there? This is actually a pretty nice case back. At first, you know, not only is it in gray, but I think that there's something to the overall underlying finish of the case back, because you see that those rays coming off the back. See how that animated that stuff is? I don't know. I don't think I've ever noticed that on the case back of my other watches. Nothing this animated or dynamic like this. It's like almost like little spotlights, you know, those ones that you see at the Hollywood openings at night. It looks like it's beaming off of. I don't know. It's a cool effect. I just don't remember seeing any watches that I've owned in the past where the case back has this kind of effect. You know, usually it just shines kind of, you know, rather mundanely across, you know, a polished or brushed surface, whatever it is. I don't usually see this kind of radiant kind of effect on here. So I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, but that's one thing that just stood out to me. And I'm generally pretty observant. So that's just a diver scuba dude. So this is using a Miyota movement, if I'm not mistaken, and it's using a 9039. So it's the dateless version because there's no date, and I do prefer that. Keeps everything symmetrical. Even if you could put a date in between here, like Seiko does sometimes. Some of the newer watches between 4 and 5, if it's color matched or whatever, it's okay. But in this specific case, I would not have wanted it, and I'm glad it's gone. And especially if you got these numbers up here, you want to make sure you see them all. I really am not a fan, especially when you have the Arabic numerals at the cardinals, that like a date at the 3 where you basically omit the 3. It looks pretty unbalanced to me. And then you'll probably see like a white square usually because it's not color matched. And if it is, or if it's even black on a dark dial, it'll just kind of create this negative kind of space here, because it's just a darkened area that doesn't have any kind of matching um, highlights, I guess, as it would if it still had the 3 there instead of a date window. So yeah, and the bezel action is pretty nice too. You can hear that. There's no, let me hold on to this more steady, but I see that there's really no backplay too. 120 click. And it sounds just like my friend. I just met him recently. He has the Aquascaph with the original version, which is got the sandwich dial. It's not bronze, stainless steel. He has the blue gilt version. Doesn't have the numbers. It's got more of like I don't know, more traditional indexes, I guess. Well, not that these are not really traditional, but the ones are non-Arabic, which should have a triangle and probably the bars at the 936 or something like that, kind of submarinerish. Or actually, I think they're actually all triangles all around. If I recall correctly, yeah, they're kind of like elongated triangles at the cardinal points. But that one's nice too. He got that as a gift from his big bro. We went to actually after going to a Worn and Wound wind up in San Francisco, which was several years ago. And I'm glad it's 2022 and they're coming back finally after 3 years, and definitely going to that and checking that out when it comes out in April, around mid-April. And it's a cool event. You guys, if you have a chance to see one and go to it, and if they have one in your town or nearby town even, check it out. It's usually free, and you can check out so many micro brands, including Baltic. And that's the best place to check out a lot of the more popular and sometimes it's more obscure micro brands, and meet the owners, and just get the main thing is to get also to check out these watches on the person in the metal, because there's no boutiques usually, and the only time you're ever going to know how it is after you bought it. And that kind of sucks because it doesn't always work out, right? So that's a great way to experience and check these things out in the meadow. Who was there last time? Notice, Zelos, met Ocean. I did a video review from 2019. Not the best, but it's just something I felt like doing, and just very casual. And I kind of just went around and checked out things and talked to some of the brand owners, Ann Ordain, Autodromo. Who else was there? What's the other one? The popular one with the pastel dials usually. Not Helios. Helios. Gosh, there are so many brands over there. It's cool, and you get to talk to other watch enthusiasts there, and it's fun. Definitely recommend checking it out. Now I totally lost my chain of thought of where I was going with this. Oh, just to do a quick wrist check. I did have this on earlier, and I will say I think the strap is okay. It could be more subtle, supple. Is that the word? For a tropic strap. Sometimes they make these things a little bit stiff. I've had stiffer, but the one that I already quickly checked out on the Hellsen that I got, and I had that Hellsen kit with the tropic strap before. That's definitely nicer. It's more softer, and it's black, but it feels better. So here it is on my. Probably just this exactly fits. I probably would do it one less hole, but it's fine for now because I want to show something. And this is on my wrist is just under 7 inches. You know what? I'm gonna bump it down one because I feel like I'm starting to make it into a tourniquet. Okay, somewhere like there. So it's all right. It gets the job done. But so yeah, my wrist is just under 7 inches. I always say 6.875 when people ask. It's not 6 3/4. It's not 7. It's right in between. Basically 6 and is it 5/8? Anyways, uh, this is how it wears. And I usually, for me, I like to wear this strap right where the middle of my wrist bone is. It just seems to, for me, it feels right and looks right. Just the way my wrist is shaped, it does kind of slender down. So if I push it too much, it might seem kind of odd. And push it down, it might leave too much space. I don't know. This is how I do it. I would say, I think, I don't know if this is showing off. See, this part, this tang needs a bit of a, it's a little too straight, I think. It needs one of those with, it has a bend like this. It almost makes it look like a slight S, you know what I mean? So, because as straight as it is, and, you know, with this particular tropic strap, the hose, it's not super thick, but, you know, the holes are straight through. So, and this tang is straight too, so it kind of wants to pull the, you can sort of see it pulls the strap out to make it, you know, the hole straight in line with the tang. You know how straight it is, if you understand what I mean. So it doesn't necessarily sit completely flat. You can see it's close enough where it doesn't bother me, but then I feel that this part, if it was shaped a little bit better, this part, not only would this sit flatter, but additionally, this buckle would probably sit, if you can imagine, it probably sit more closer to the other part of the strap on this side instead of kind of hanging out here. If it was bent right, it could potentially sit, you know, more flat against this side of the, right? If you added that S curve to that tang there, then you could do that, and I think that would look better than it kind of hanging off like that. It doesn't really, it seems like it would, but it doesn't really catch on anything. It's not that, I mean, just this position. And I suppose if I tighten it more, but I don't want to. See, the thing is, there is quite a bit of distance between the holes too, so you may find it a little tricky to get the perfect size. There should be really one right in the middle between there to really get that fine tuning. So you almost like you're jumping one link amount if it was a bracelet, right? So you make it tighter. I suppose it's a little less wanky, like, because it's a little bit tighter, so even though it's not perfectly flat, it's basically holding. But overall it fits. There's no real, right? There's not really any overhang or massive gaps or anything. And I think it looks and fits fine. We'll see. Another reason why I got another strap. I'm pretty sure with the leather strap that I have, it's not going to be as stiff, and the holes may be a little bit more generous, so it could probably, you know, sit and rest a little bit more cleaner, I suppose, than what's going on here. And then definitely when I get the Erica's original strap, which I had custom made for this with the bronze hardware, and it'll be like a navy. It's just they're trident with the do they call it the tan? I think, you know, the tan line. It's like a thin line, but it's in the tan, kind of goldish tan beige color. So I think that'll work with this kind of blue and goldish theme. It's kind of what Tudor has on like their black bay blue. I think like it's like the Bouguer edition. They have like a fabric or kind of a nylon style strap with that kind of beige or gold line going through it, as well as, well, actually no, the Marine National one, it's a gray stripe. But anyways, so it'll look kind of like that bronze. Yeah, so it's not the end of the world. It's actually not too bad, but I just thought I'd point it out. I think the buckle is okay. Could maybe use a little bit more curve down, but I think most of this, because there is space for this to sort of sit down more flat, if this could, be allowed to not be forced to be like this, it could, if it had that bend would curve up, and so that hole will kind of go, allow it to sit flatter, you know what I mean? And then the rest of it will come up and out towards the buckle, this part of it, and rest, and this will sit more, kind of more in line like that, versus where it's kind of lifting up a bit. Other than that, it's fine. I will live with it for a few more days anyway, so once I get the Ericas, I'll probably live on that one more than this. Anyways, it's a more comfortable elastic strap, and I think that extra bit of gold or beige or whatever or tan, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be in there, will just look pretty proper. Anyway, this went on way too long, but I just wanted to share that, document the way this looks now, and we'll see as it progresses over the next couple of days, weeks, months, hopefully years, and see how it looks. And I've seen some pictures of these pretty patinaed out, and I'm not sure if it's actually them having worn it or was it forced. I think it is actual from natural wear, but it depends on your activities. If you're really diving into salt water or just in water in general, like very humid or moist environments, yeah, of course that patina is going to happen more rapidly. And that's it. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next. Later.